What? I can't. Because it's.
Today we'll reflect on why is it that we focus on the offensive side of security in most of the conversations, and why isn't that we don't discuss about the defensive side that much and that often. Hi, Gabriel.
Hi.
Nice for you to join. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you for having me. My name is Gabriel. I'm a director of security at an American company that does business-to-business things as a day job, and then I run a security company, a security startup also. And I've been doing this now for 15 years, maybe not full time, but I've been in the field and I've been thinking about this topic a while, quite a bit. And then when I saw that you're doing this podcast, I thought this would be an opportunity to bring it up because I don't think it gets enough attention, this imbalance like that I believe exists. And
So when we think about offensive security, it often focuses on testing the boundaries of security. Is it good security, and are there any loopholes that one can infiltrate in? Whereas the defensive is about protecting and spotting those attempts to intrusion. Both are equally important. But let's talk about movies like Hackers, War Games, and Mr. Robot. They glamorize hackers being quick-witted, smart. Would you say that, or in your opinion, what part have the media and the film industry played in shaping this perception of offensive side being cooler than the defensive side?
Yeah, I mean, it is easier to make like hacking, like it's easier to show when you're breaking things. And I think that's part of the reason why the like offensive side has more attention. But in the movies also, I mean, I don't know if you can I bet you can, like if you're a really good movie maker, you can make an interesting and exciting movie about how you defend like against hackers. But maybe the audience won't be.
I think it would be super boring for see someone sitting, let's say, in a basement in their home lab, trying to detect anomalies and monitor them. Like there's no sex appeal in that, right?
Yeah, I mean they tried doing this. There is this infamous scene where they're hacking back and things like that. That's how they try to make it exciting. And of course, it's not at all how it works. But they have to do it so that the audience like finds it interesting and understand what they're doing, of course, because that's the whole different thing, that it's maybe easier to show like you're breaking into something, but defense is usually like multi-layered and like quite complex. So if you try to show that, even if you show it like you make a good way, it might be like they don't understand what it's about. So.
And can you imagine, like, we succeeded at defending this and that, and nobody makes a big deal out of it because that's what defensive security really is. Like nobody, makes a big fuss out of it, and nobody talks about defensive side and defensive security because it's something that is more or less happening in the background.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that what you could make something interesting out of is like incident response, because that's usually quite hectic and quite like exciting.
Yeah.
But that's so small part of like the time, unless you're working as a like incident response consultant, but that is then again a very hectic job, and I don't know very many that stay in it for a long time.
Hey, let's double into the poll that you did. Can you walk us through the poll and the results?
So as preparation for this, because I've been thinking about this by myself for a long time, like discussing with a few friends, but I needed to like double check that this is not only me that's thinking that like that my impression is that it's more about the offensive, and actually everybody else goes around and thinks that no, it's about defensive. So I did a little poll, very limited and not very like broad, but the response rate more or less confirmed my impression of this, that most people like in the industry, this was a poll for like information security people, agreed with me and said that offensive security gets more attention and there's more focus on that, like perception wise, even if from like the amount of people who work in pure offensive roles versus defensive roles, like there's the defensive roles are so much bigger, but still the perception is that red team like gets more attention, which is the odd thing that I've like wanted to bring up and like think about, that is this a problem, is this something we can fix or want to fix.
Do you see that there will be a problem when young adults and kids want to pursue a career in cybersecurity? They would be more into the offensive side, and the defensive side will be forgotten because it's on top of everyone's mind, really, like hacking all things. And we do have tools that people can use, like free tooling online that people can use to practice their skills.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is maybe one of the problems with so much focus on the red team, that what I've heard from people who want to get into this, they think that they'll get in and they like start hacking things, they're doing red teaming, and that's what's cool and what they want to do. And then I've had to a few times like more or less bring them back to the ground and try to explain that, yeah, there is, you can do this, but the competition is very hard because there isn't that much roles unless you're a criminal, maybe then. But even there's the competition for the like doing the fun stuff, and usually there's a lot of slog there also.
Did you get any kind of thoughts? I mean, you did a poll. What was the question in the poll? Do you recall?
I think the question was, in your opinion, does information... I actually don't remember. We should double check.
But it was focusing on why do we emphasize more on the offensive side and not the defensive side?
I think the question was more, is your perception that InfoSec is more about offensive or defensive?
Yeah.
And I got feedback that, and afterwards I thought the question wasn't the best one. And they are correct in that, but I just needed something to validate that I'm not the only one who has this specific thing. And there was a good discussion. People talking, is offensive and like red teaming and blue teaming, are there different things, or are they actually just the same thing? That do we need to even separate them?
Yeah. Do you know? I don't know, so I'm asking. And if anyone in the audience knows, feel free to ping me and Gabriel. Are there any tools available to practice defensive security?
I think there are like these VMs that you can set up. You get a home lab.
But it's very kind of, you have to, put an effort to it, right? Whereas you can just hack the box online and you can sign up and hack the box.
Yeah, and that's true. The online services where you train these things are probably more like on the offensive side. I'm not an expert. I haven't tried all of them. I did see that one of the services I tried did have a like quite good like wider, like they were looking also like at incident response and that part. Yeah. So maybe it's improving or changing, which would be a good thing. But, for now, I think it's easier to.
Yeah, I have this concern that when the mainstream medias and the popular culture emphasize more the offensive security and the offensive side, there is this lack in awareness that cybersecurity is more than just the offensive side. And then the conversation shifts to hacking. And it's like hackers, where we have ethical hacking and the black hat hacking. Do you see, or have you throughout your career, you said you have been working for 15 years in the field, have you seen any kinds of shift in the awareness and how people perceive cybersecurity to be also considering the defensive side?
It's a good question. I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe a little, but the reason why I wanted to bring this up is that I think unless you call things out, you can't really like start thinking about them and improving them. Overall, I think like as an industry, I'm not sure how well we are succeeding like in defending things, because it feels like things are, but it might be a perception thing that things are not improving like security wise. More companies are getting hacked and it's having a bigger impact. And part of the reason is probably that we have a lot more IT services now. A lot more companies have moved more things into IT, which means that the effect of getting hacked is bigger. But you would have thought, like, I mean, we have been trying to do this for many years since hacking things and is not a new thing, and defending is not also not a new thing. So
no, but it's like, where's the discussion? And how many I recall we discussed before you joining the episode, like how many conferences there are existing that would cover the defensive side purely.
Yeah, no, that's one thing. When I posed the question to you really early, I was sure that most conferences, most talks are about like offensive, how to break things, and that's quite interesting actually, because when I did the blog post, I did a little research and I didn't find much, but I found one paper which hasn't been peer reviewed, but it was at least a paper. Somebody was looking at the big ones, the DEF CON, Black Hat, and those, and did a little, like, I think they fed it into like a large language model, asking it like, is this based on the subject and abstract? Is this like offensive or defensive or neutral talk? And the result was actually that most what they sampled were like there were more defensive talks, and in their sample, I'm not sure that this like throughout. Maybe that was just because they had a limited sample of conferences.
Yeah.
But I was a bit surprised about that because.
Yeah, but then I can imagine that when you participate to a conference, it's more cooler to hear talks about how did I break this, and what was kind of like the road for me to break this. What did it look like a process step by step wise? I think that's more interesting than today I succeeded. Defending, spotting this anomaly and eradicating it or whatever. So it's not that, as I said, it doesn't have any woe to it.
Yeah, no, I think that's the reason why it might be that even if more talks are if you count the number of talks, the defensive ones are more. But maybe if you look, for example, at how many are going to one talk, or how many are viewing that talk on YouTube, then maybe you will find that they're like offensive about hacking or breaking things are actually like getting a lot more attention, and that might be like the whole like problem. Even if the industry somebody might have realized this, and maybe they're trying to like have talks which are like good talks where they teach defenders how to defend, but then they also include a few red team, and then everybody goes to that to see like how something was broken or how somebody broke something.
But how would you even educate someone how to defend? Like, we have technology to do that for us, and all we need to do is build the playbooks. And how does that even work?
I think that's, again, defense is much more complicated. It's this classic that it always depends when you ask like what should we do about it. So the answer is always depends. But for an attacker, like if you want to break, there's multiple ways of breaking, but the end result will be the same. Even if people don't, even if you go have the conference and you have the like talks about hacking things, and then you might not learn something from that, but you think it's cool, and maybe that's like part of the issue. What I see that like even if the industry is more about defense, and it is. I mean, there's much more defensive roles. There's a lot more money. Like if you look at the tooling, like you can buy. There's so many different defensive solutions, different firewalls. there's a few offensive companies which makes like pure attack tools or red teaming tools, but there are not that many and there's not that much money. And still, like you do this polling and you get the result that the industry is more about the attacking side, even if it's not true.
Yeah.
One thing which is related to this whole like attacking and offensive things is these like offensive security tooling, which is again a data point I was looking at. I didn't have time to look deeply into it, but my quick checking, like for example, if you look on GitHub and you look at if you look for tags like information security and red team, you will find more, and you will find that those projects have like more stars. If the stars actually mean much, I don't know, but at least that's a data point.
Yeah.
And then you check for blue team tools and you find less tools. Like so, also in like open source tooling, free tooling, what you mentioned in the beginning, like setting up a home lab to train defensive is not so easy. Finding tools to do like improve your defenses doesn't seem to be as exciting as the red team tooling, which like gets more attention, gets more likes, gets more probably contributions, people develop them more. And I mean, this whole debate about offensive security tooling has been up a few times, and it seems to be like a lot of people get very engaged in it. I tried not to get too much into it in my blog post because it's a whole different discussion. But
it is, yeah.
If we agree that the information security is about defending things, which it is, I mean, I don't think anybody comes in here to start like breaking and helping criminals. That's not the goal of very few, like hopefully not very many. Then we should also think always about what if we are doing some research, if we're doing some new tooling, will this help like defenders or will this help attackers more? It's very rarely it's like black and white. It's not that this will only help attackers, this will only help defenders. But some tooling is more clear that if you're doing like tooling which evades like the latest detections, I don't see that much use for that as a defender. Other than you're pointing out that something is broken, yes, you manage to evade the defenses. And then if you publish tooling also to give people that capability, maybe you could have like, instead of just publishing it, just call it out. Like that's sometimes that doesn't work. It's not enough. I think we ended up here in this position partially because it doesn't always work. Sometimes the companies, unless you show like a POC, the company doesn't care. They're like, this is not a vulnerability. And then when you bring the POC, oh, actually this is a vulnerability, we will fix it.
Yeah.
But at least try first. Like
yeah. And one thing with the offensive security is that it's been supported more. Like let's talk about bug bounties, for example. Like there is this bug bounty program, and if you participate to it and find something, you can get money out of it. Let's HackerOne being for example. But I could imagine that in my mind, if we could have a conference which would build a lab and with like environments and stuff, and then people trying to detect and respond, and then the other side, the offensive, tries to like attack. That would be an interesting arena or event.
No, that would be like a capture the flag, but more like defend the flag. Like
defend the flag. Yeah, I think that would be super interesting to participate.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that some conference should do. Like maybe harder to do again. That's one of the reasons again why red teaming or offensive has more. It's maybe easier, but I don't think we are in this, like, not everything is easy. Maybe we need to do the hard thing. Maybe we need to like build that defend the flag lab, even if it's much harder than doing a capture the flag competition, just to teach people like that this is like the important thing, and not the like that you manage to break or reverse engineer tooling. No, I think we need to like put the effort into it, like because it is harder to like have a home lab for somebody or do tooling which would be useful. And I think one thing that is easy to do is that when somebody does this, we like put a lot of attention, even if it's not as exciting as somebody the latest hack or the latest vulnerability. Like share it, like share that this is a great defensive tool, and help contribute to it, like if possible, if it's open source defensive tool.
But do you think companies should invest in providing these free tooling for individuals so they can practice? Or does it really require someone to build the lab? Maybe it does. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if some companies do that, we should also like celebrate those. It's I think I titled the blog post like celebrating defenders, and we should celebrate those that do the hard thing and like do this or release like techniques, like tools for us that help others defend. There's a lot of money in the defensive side,
Of course,
and it seems that some companies have like they take value in like keeping information to themselves, which I don't think this like that's not what like this industry should be about. Like that you have value in keeping information, IOCs and stuff like that. That you have better IOCs than other people, and those companies that don't do it, we should. It's our job. Like we are in this industry, we have a say what like company we buy from. The suits don't always listen, but if they do, we can like try to look like, is this a company that releases open source tooling for defense? Then that's something we should support. Offensive is very useful, like red teams, for example, and this ties into the. I got a lot of comments that the red team is like just part of the blue team, and that's usually true. Like, I mean, I don't have a problem with red teams working with blue teams. That's a very efficient way when you have a blue team capable of actually stopping the. It's not very efficient if you, as first thing on your job as an information security, like a director or something, you hire a red team, which just breaks everything.
If you can establish a red team function or a team per se, then I think that's something extra. And if you have the other stuff like checked and structured, then you can have the red team.
Yeah, exactly. There's little value in bringing them in too early. I think again that this shows that the defense is like the first thing that you should be, but the perception is not that this is that what we do work. So it's more like we break things and then we maybe fix it, but it's actually the other way around. We should.
Yeah.
And I absolutely don't have an issue with that. The whole thing about offensive security tooling is more those that like do specifically, like if you release open source red team tools, then you're giving it to like everybody immediately, and there's no value, like direct value to the defense team. You're not like giving the blue team a heads up. You have this vulnerability, you're just putting it out there because the world is broken and you want to see it burn.
Yeah.
Which feels like some people are doing, and that's on this whole, like from an industry perspective, what we should like celebrate and what we should maybe not work against, but like don't like give attention to that. Maybe give more. Try to like we should, as an industry, try to give more attention to the defenders. If somebody is releasing like these, there will always be people releasing POCs before people are ready, and but that should maybe be frowned upon. Like then people will realize that this is not like how you get famous in InfoSec. This shouldn't be the way how to get famous in InfoSec.
No. Yeah, I think that's very toxic and very selfish too. Yeah. What are you trying to achieve with publishing a POC and then just cause mayhem all around you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But last time I heard this debate, it's like if you don't allow that, then you're gatekeeping and you're keeping like information from other people, which is to some level like true. You're not giving people the ability to test their defenses, but I think we can be. It's not black and white. I mean, if you want to release a POC, you can do it like, but give like a month or whatever, like for people to actually get their defenses up and have time to prepare.
But shouldn't it be then kind of like it justifies the need to build a more mature security? Because if you cannot defend against a POC, like what can you defend yourself against?
Yeah, is there value in showing that this breaks, like this gives me a root on your like firewall? I'm not sure if there's like that much value to show that you can break things. One thing, it just seems that causes a lot of grief for the defender, unnecessary grief for the defenders. So,
all right, so let's move on to word prompt. So at the end of each episode, I will list 10 words, all related to the episode's theme. And your job is to just come up with anything on top of mind related to that word.
okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I don't know, but let's
see.
Go.
Defensive.
Yeah, it's what it's about, like defending. This sometimes we need to break things to show that it's broken, but the end goal of information security is to like stop bad things from happening.
Offensive.
It's the opposite. Like it's necessary. It's a necessary part. You need to like be able to test your defenses, but it should be like a small part. Like it's not like you should try to like blow up all the defenses all the time just to see that they work. You can when you are sure that your wall will hold, maybe you do a little test at some point, but should be later.
All right, then the third word, tooling.
Yeah, we should build more like blue team tooling, and we should the ones that are out there, we should help like and support and financially or with your contributions. Like I know there are a lot, like quite a few defensive tooling, like, and there's open source defensive tooling. We should give more attention and more support to those.
Mindset.
It's a hard one.
Whatever comes to mind.
I think the mindset of like information security should be like, again, defensive, like protecting. Like we should build, not destroy things. It should be the like default mindset of information security people.
Well put. Fifth word being awareness.
Yes, yeah, I was just thinking about this like at the company during our security awareness, and it's so hard. Like people should be aware about the information security because it's a key part of everybody's life now, but not everybody can be like fully aware. It's such a complex topic. I don't think there's anything else similarly complex in the world. So,
all right, hacking.
It's all the traditional, like old school hacking thing. That's the thing that I think about and think it's used in a bad way that much anymore.
Yeah. Seventh word being containment.
Should, as part of your defenses, you should build like layers. That's something when we talk about how red team can like break things in one thing, it shouldn't break your defenses. You shouldn't have only one layer. They can get through one, but they will be contained at the next one. So
intrusion.
It happens to everybody at some point. So just be prepared for it and make sure that you have an incident response plan.
Ninth word being safeguard.
If you're holding sensitive data, safeguard it. Like be really careful with it. That's something we are improving. Like I think thanks to GDPR and similar things, that data is not spread everywhere nowadays. But we still need to improve that part. Like make it hard to access even for those that need it to work, because then it will be double hard for the attackers.
Final word, protect.
Yeah, we as a industry are tasked with protecting a lot more. Everything is IT nowadays. Like all company, all data is in IT, and we should like as a community like accept that it's our job to like improve this, and that's what like information security is about: protecting, not breaking things, not attacking.
That concludes the episode. Thank you so much for the chat, Gabriel.
No, thank you for having me.